greetings, greetings. Greetings, love magnets. Greetings, love icons. Greetings, love warriors. How is everyone tonight? I am Pangea North Star for those who do not know. I am a high yoga empath, an energy healer, Reiki artist, sound therapist. My titles are many, but my mission is singular. My mission is singular. I am here to teach you how to raise your vibration to the frequency of love for the purposes of forgiveness, self acceptance, abundance, and healing. Abundance and healing. I'm so glad to be with you guys tonight. We have such a good topic. Such a good topic. Everybody get comfortable, kick back, get ready. Ladies, take your bra off. Take that bra off. You know what to do. Reach back there. You unhook. You reach in the sleeve. You pull the straps down, and in one fatal swoop, whoosh. The snatch and toss. Throw it across the room. Ladies, y'all know how to do it. Hello, Blue Lotus. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Ladies, take your bra off, get comfortable. Guys, what do y'all do to get comfortable? Y'all, do you sit on the couch, sit back on the couch? I always picture you guys. Did y'all used to watch Al Bundy? Al Bundy would put his hands in his pants and veg out watching the TV. Is that still how guys get comfortable? Right. Blue Lotus says I don't wear them, and that's so good, so healthy, so much healthier, um, so much healthier. I don't want to get censored, so I'll say it in the form of a question: is it possible that bras reduce the blood circulation to the breast tissue and contribute to breast cancer? Is it possible we need to just let go of bras? We need to outlaw bras. What do y'all think about that? Guys, we have such a wonderful subject tonight. Let's get into it. I want to start by stating my intention for this segment that I do every Tuesday night, which is called Attracting Love Energy. And that intention is, bear with me, I was trying to see if I could, nope, can't do it. I was trying to see if it's too late to turn off my, put myself on Do Not Disturb. There we go, my notifications. Hopefully that'll stop it. Okay, so my intention for Attracting Love Energy, which is this segment that I do every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, my intention for Attracting Love Energy is to always be showing you ways to raise your vibration, okay, to the frequency of love for the purposes of forgiveness, self-acceptance, healing, and abundance, as I just stated. Okay, now our title and our topic tonight is, why does spiritual ascension become lonely? Why does spiritual ascension feel like such a lonely process at times? If you can relate to that, give me some hearts in the chat. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Give me some hearts in the chat. Greetings to everybody in the chat. Yes. This used to be such a huge problem for me, so I just want to help you all get some relief from this. But first, we want to get some understanding. Why does the spiritual journey seem so lonely at times? Okay, let's start with some understanding, and then let's get some relief, some solutions. Okay, so now we want to start with laying a baseline for this. Okay, a baseline understanding. All right. So I want to talk to you about real quickly, just share with you the perspective from which I'm teaching this. Okay. So keep this, these are some things I want you to keep in mind as I go into this explanation. First of all, we have to know that unresolved trauma is always attracting matching frequencies in your environment. Now, so is your healed energy. So is your healing energy. Okay. Yes, I hear you. I love solutions too. So we're going to get into it. So, your unresolved trauma and your healing energy are both always attracting matching frequencies from your environment, attracting people and situations that match your most dominant frequency. Okay, that is a universal law that we have to begin to understand and live by if we want to have greater influence over how our life goes and attract the life that we desire, right? Does that make sense? Does it sound familiar to people? Give me some hearts in the chat if it does. So these most dominant frequencies in your energy field are acting like a magnet, pulling people and situations to you on a daily basis. Okay. This is why when you meet somebody new, they may feel so familiar. I don't know what YouTube is doing, guys, but thank you for still being here. It just shut down. Maybe I said the magic word. But you are constantly pulling those people, those matching frequencies into your energy field, right? So now when you meet someone and they have a similar unresolved trauma or they've been doing similar healing work, it can feel like, oh my gosh, like like you know them, right? Like it feels like you've been knowing them all of your life. They feel so familiar. Sometimes you can even be thinking, God, where do I know this person from? Right? It's because of those matching frequencies in your energy field. As you get to know them, you'll start to figure out your commonalities if you really pay attention and you're aware of this information. You can listen and figure out what they've been through or what they've been doing, what healing work they've been doing that allowed them to draw you and allow you to draw them. It's a really neat thing to do. I love to do it. Hi, Mark from Scotland. All right. Now, the other thing that we want to keep in mind is that people who are seekers, and when I say seeker, I mean people who are searching for truth, purpose, spiritual ascension, and other forms of self improvement and measures of success in their life. Always. Okay. That's a seeker. Okay. If you're a seeker, if that makes sense and you're a seeker, give me some hearts in the chat. Okay. Yes, our vibrational energy is powered by our emotions. Yes, our vibrations are emanating from our emotions. Excellent questions. Thank you. So yes, greetings from Ontario, Canada. Okay, now people who are seekers, that's one of our words tonight, one of our vocabulary words. And we're going to treat it like a school lesson. People who are seekers tend to go through phases of outgrowing several relationships at once or outgrowing very close relationships more quickly than your average person. Okay. And there is a reason for that. Okay. But what happens is you could totally be enjoying a friendship or a relationship consistently over a long period of time. And suddenly you begin to feel out of sync with this person. It can happen gradually or all at once, depending on what type of work you are doing on yourself. Okay. And we're going to talk about this more. So if this is you, be sure to watch all the way to the end. Okay. Be sure to watch all the way to the end because I'm going to be giving some important tips that's going to help you with choosing what to do in these situations, as well as we're going to talk about. I'm gonna give some information. I'm gonna share some information on choosing partners that you will not outgrow so fast. Okay, because many of us seekers are now just living a very withdrawn life. Okay, a loner type of life, and we've settled for that. Okay, some of you have settled for that, though it's not what you truly desire, because again and again you have experienced this, outgrowing people, suddenly losing connection with people, and that can be painful. Okay, if that sounds familiar and that sounds like you, give me some hearts in the chat. Okay, give me some hearts in the chat if that sounds like you. Okay. Now, I see a question. How do you know what type of person you are? Keep listening. You're going to get some major clues, and then you can tell me at the end if this sounds like you, okay? Or you can tell me throughout, like, yeah, that resonates. This sounds like me, okay? You're going to know if these experiences are your experiences. You're going to know immediately, okay? Now, I'm going to give you an example of how this happens, okay? And what tends to happen when you're outgrowing people. Exactly what type of scenarios am I talking about? I'm gonna give you some relatable examples, okay? So, example number one, you are in a friendship, right? You and your friend both have had similar life experiences that make it easy for y'all to relate to each other, right? So y'all often get together and y'all talk about, some shared difficulties you may be experiencing or have experienced. Maybe it's being a single parent or like facing financial hardships or difficulties in marriage or dating. Every now and then y'all get together, y'all may joke about it, or you may even kind of take turns throwing each other pity parties. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We've had that friend, right? Of course, we call it encouragement. We call it encouraging each other, but nobody really leaves this gathering feeling uplifted. But you do feel a little less lonely, right? You feel a little bit less lonely because you know that somebody has been through or is going through what you're going through, right? If that sounds familiar, you've had these friendships or have these friendships, give me some hearts. Give me some hearts in the chat, okay? Now, this is comforting for you. Like I said, you feel less alone, knowing that somebody's going through or has been through what you've been through. But as a seeker, here's the clue for the person that asked the question: how do you know what type of person you are? As a seeker, you may get down, but you don't stay down. You never stay down. You get down. You may feel sad, but you never stay in that condition. You're quick to pick yourself up, right? You always find a way to pick yourself up, right? I see your comment, boohoo. Yep. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to keep going. Exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. So, as a seeker, eventually something's going to happen that begins to stir an awakening for you. Okay? Something happens that stirs an awakening for you, and you begin to look for solutions for this problem, whatever this problem is you and the friend had in common. You may look to your internal resources like prayer or meditation, journaling, asking yourself accountability questions, etc. Or I'll say or you may seek external resources like watching a YouTube video, like reading books, like finding a mentor, taking a class, any type of research or other ways of investing in yourself, right? To resolve this issue, right? This is what seekers do, okay? Now, eventually, you begin to find the solution and get into the solution. You feel the cloud lifting. So what do? You mention it to your friend. You mention it to this friend that has the same problem, okay? Now, what happens? There's a couple of things that happen when you mention this, okay? A, you either get a dismissive response, like a joke, or sarcasm, right? A dismissive response, like a joke or sarcasm. Yes, Blue Lotus says jealousy. Yes, that happens. If you are a person that has experienced a lot of jealousy in your life and you just you really don't know why, it may be because you're a seeker. It may be because you're a seeker and that people are sometimes jealous of your ability to pick yourself up. They're jealous of the way that your light shines, right? The way that you just naturally glow, the way that you naturally bounce back, the way that you naturally find yourself, right? People can be jealous of your internal resources, guys. This happens all the time. And if you look at yourself and think, man, I don't always have more money than the other person, or I don't think I'm just so much more gorgeous or charismatic or whatever than the other person, but I always have these problems with jealousy. People can be jealous of your light. be jealous of your light. Yes, exactly. Lolo, this is like, I wasn't even thinking about them. Exactly, exactly. Yes, high butterfly. Very, very true. Absolutely. Okay. So, B, you may get a program response from this friend, a program response that reflects their fear of moving forward. Like, well, be careful with that. You know, I know someone that tried something like that and they got hurt or they got scammed, they got embarrassed, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. You know, be careful. They may say something that reflects their own fear, right? And what they're doing is they're sharing with you the excuse they tell themselves that allows them to stay stuck. Okay? They're sharing with you what they tell themselves that allows them to stay stagnant. Okay? If you have experienced this, give me some hearts in the chat. Give me some hearts if you've experienced this. I know we all have experienced this at some time. Yes. Exactly. Yes, I see people relating to this. Okay, so now, C, here's another thing that may happen. You may get no response with like a blank stare. You may get like a blank stare. It's like they just really don't even know what to do that. Like they can't even process the information that you're giving them. Or another way they may let you know that they can't process this information is they may give you a nasty response. They may kind of lash out at you. They may kind of snap back, clap back, or like, wow, you know. they give you something nasty that you're like, oh, well, where did that come from? Right? Or like, oh, you know, people say this, oh, well, don't get rich and switch. Or don't forget about, you know, when you make it big, don't forget about us little people. You know, things like that, right? Things like that. Y'all know how it is. Have you experienced this? This resonates. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some thumbs up in the chat. Okay. Now, this is a form of stonewalling. This is a form of blocking out solutions with total shutdown, inflexibility, or outright rejection to the idea of changing. Okay. Blue Lotus says this, she experienced something like this just today. Right. Right. Lots of thumbs up in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. We know this is hidden, right? So now, all of these behaviors are avoidant behaviors. This is what it boils down to, avoidant behaviors, indicating that your friend is not yet ready to end their suffering. They're not yet ready to change, right? They're not yet ready to stop their suffering in this particular area of their life, okay? They're not yet ready to move on, okay? Now, we're going to come back to this idea of people not being ready to end their suffering. We're going to come back to that at the end, okay? But it becomes clear in any case that you must continue this part of the process by yourself. Okay. Your friend is not going on this part of the journey with you. Or, I mean, unless you choose to stay stuck to keep the friendship intact. And if you're a seeker, that's not your choice. That's not your choice. And if you find yourself trying to hang out and see if they're gonna come around, that phase only lasts for a little while. Okay. There's another clue of how you know if you are a seeker. Okay. Now, what is this phenomenon that is happening here? All right. What is this phenomenon that we are describing? Okay. When you turn your attention from the problem to the solution, you begin to raise your vibration. That is what we call ascension. When you turn your attention from the problem to the solution, you automatically begin to raise your vibration. And what results from this is you are climbing, and if their attention is still focused on the problem, they're either staying the same or they're sinking, right? So you're doing this and they're doing this. This space right here between where you are and where they are, this is what we call a vibrational gap. A vibrational gap. And the first person that I ever heard use this term is another awesome YouTuber that I like to listen to, which is Aaron Lyons. Okay, y'all know I always give credit where credit is due. If I hear somebody else say something, I'm gonna tell you who I heard say it. Right? I'm not about just saying stuff like I came up with it. This is the name of a phenomenon that has always been around. Okay, I like when I heard her say it, so I'm gonna stick with that name, vibrational gap. It makes a lot of sense. There's a gap in where your frequency is and where their frequency is, right? Because you became solution focused and they're still stuck on the problem. Give me some 100s in the chat if this makes sense. Greetings, Marilyn Ma'at. Absolutely. So this creates what we call a vibrational gap. Shout out to Aaron. If this continues, it becomes more and more difficult to stay connected with this friend. Y'all have experienced that. I know you have. Greetings, Xena Electra, another great YouTuber. Thank you for joining us. Now, we've all experienced this gap that happens, and all of a sudden you're really struggling to stay connected with this person. Like all of a sudden, y'all don't have nothing to talk about. You know, you're not really enjoying your time with them like you used to. You know, the vibrational gap is real. All right. And my best advice is when this is starting to happen, just allow it. Just allow it. Just allow it. And it's so easy, especially if you've experienced this before, you've been experienced this a lot, or somebody that you know, that really, you really enjoy your time with them. You can kind of freak out a little bit. Sometimes it can be a little triggering, and your first reaction is to try to hold on to them. But that's just going to make it worse. Okay, so we're going to talk about that a little more too. Okay, but let me go on and give you example number two. Example number two. Example number two. And if you are a seeker, you have also experienced this. Okay, but maybe you didn't realize at the time you're going through it what was happening. Okay, yes. So, is this good, y'all? Is this making sense? Is this hitting so far? If so, give me some hearts in the chat. Give me some hearts in the chat real quick, okay? We're going to go into example number two. Here's scenario number two, okay? Scenario number two is you are in a romantic relationship. Oh, juicy. Y'all know I love to talk about this kind of love. Yes. A girl loves romance, right? You're in a romantic relationship, okay? This is a scenario, and it's juicy, and it's good, and it's new, and it's wonderful, and just, right? Everything is it's popping on all cylinders, right? Y'all know how it is. So you're in a romantic relationship with somebody that you really care for now, okay? Somebody you care for. I hear you, Blue Lotus. Meow. Meow. Okay, so you're in this relationship with somebody that you care for, and you seem to have so much in common, right? And y'all seem to be so compatible, and y'all are feeling so safe with each other, just allowing each other into all these, look, all up in your personal, physical, emotional, and spiritual spaces, right? And everything is lovely. Everything is lovely, right? So you become so inspired. So inspired. Yes. Boo said I'm not a girl, but I'm learning some secrets now. Hey, this why it's good to tune in on a Tuesday night. It's for everybody, right? It's for everybody, but you're definitely gonna learn some secrets about the girls. And we're gonna get these guys sharing some secrets too. We love to interact. So you become so inspired by this love experience, or I'm saying inspired, but this also could mean you're challenged. You know, you become really challenged by this love experience, right? This quickly turns into some type of existential crisis for you, right? Something can happen that you're just like, oh my God, I like this person so much. Oh, I'm scared, you know? or this is showing me the work I need to do, right? And it's really one and the same. When you fall in love and really like somebody, you become scared, it is showing you work you need to do, right? Even if you don't become scared, these close, intimate relationships have a special way of showing us the work we need to do on ourselves. Somebody give me an amen, give me a 100, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you know what I'm talking about, right? There's nothing like a romantic relationship to show you the work you need to do on you. Okay? It will bring your stuff front and center. Front and center, right? It's going to bring your issues front and center, right? That is what romantic relationships do. Okay? So, because you want this to work, you begin to envision this better version of yourself and seek this version of yourself, right? So you begin doing what we call shadow work, okay? And I'm going to give a brief description of what shadow work is, just in case some of us don't know, because not everybody knows, right? So, yep, somebody says, I become scared. Absolutely. It's so common, right? Shadow work is working on issues that lie deep below the surface of what average daily life requires from you. Okay? These are the things about yourself that kind of hide in the shadows, so to speak. The things about yourself that are kind of hard to look at, that may be ugly, and were it not for someone being right up close and trying to make this thing work with you, you may not ever be challenged to address these things. They may not even come to your attention, right? But through a very close relationship. And of course, these things happen, in family relationships as well. Okay. And I want you guys to also be thinking about family relationships in the background. I'm only giving two examples, friendship and romantic relationship. But family is a huge one. Okay. We don't even have enough time to go into that one. Okay. I saw a really good post the other day. Somebody said, your family knows how to push your buttons because they're the one that put them there. Oh, so true. So true. My God. Anyways, all this stuff applies to family relationships as well. So keep that in mind. All right. So you begin to do some shadow work as a result of this relationship, bringing your issues, the truth about yourself right up in your face. Okay. Now, usually these type of issues are going to lead you back to some unresolved childhood trauma, such as the dysfunctional relationship of your parents, or it could be childhood physical or sexual abuse that left you with poor communication skills and feelings of unworthiness. Okay? Lots of times it's things like this. So this is what we're going to kind of use as an example here. Okay? Now, due to your idealistic ass, can I say ass? Your happy ass decides to do this shadow work. And guess what happens? A vibrational gap. A vibrational gap. Why? Why does this happen in your relationship when you begin doing shadow work and your partner does not? You become faced with a fact you never realized before. That unresolved trauma that was left over in your energy field is part of what brought you all together to begin with, right? The unresolved trauma in your energy field was a match to the unresolved trauma in their energy field. And maybe y'all just didn't realize it, right? So your mate also experienced their parents having this crappy relationship, or maybe some type of abuse that left them with poor communication skills or feelings of unworthiness, right? Y'all, give me some hearts if you know what I'm talking about. Give me some 100s if you have experienced this. Is it clicking for you? So all of a sudden, and your intentions were the best, right? Your intentions were oh so good. I'm improving myself. I'm going to be a better partner. And you messed around and caused this vibrational gap, right? So now you're healed or healing, even healing trauma. And I want to be careful to say healing and not healed all the time, because it takes a long time. Most of our deepest wounds we will circle back around to that same issue time and time and time and time again. Please give yourself grace. I'm going to say that again. Give yourself grace. If you find yourself hitting that same issue again and again and again, if you pay attention, instead of going into this beat up session with yourself like I used to do, if you give yourself grace and just tune in and tap in to what's actually happening, you will notice that you're actually hitting that same issue at a higher and higher level all the time. Okay? And I said it in a recent video. You are not going in circles. You are not going in circles. You are hitting the same issue over and over and over again at a higher level each time, which means you are going in spirals. Spiral. Okay? Listen to that root word, spiral, spiritual. Same thing. Okay? So I hope that helps somebody. Give me some hearts if that helps. If you're, and somebody says spiral down or up, if you're hitting at a higher level each time, that same issue, and when I say at a higher level, I mean with better understanding, a higher understanding each time, then you are spiraling upwards. Okay? and tonight we're talking about ascension, how ascension becomes lonely. Okay? So that was an excellent question. All right? Yes, it can become isolating, right? Excellent question. Thank you. Okay, so now what happens is your healing energy is no longer a match with their unhealed or, unresolved trauma. If they're not doing the work that you're doing or working on their stuff at the same time, now you have this mismatch in energy, right? This causes discomfort, disagreements, and distance, right? Listen to that word, distance, right? Let's break that down. This means the opposite of. This means the opposite of. And stance means where you stand. What is your position? How do you deal with things? What do you believe in? How do you operate, right? So now you have this opposite position, this opposite way of operating, this opposite belief from your lover. Oh, that sucks, right? And it all started with this good intention to heal yourself, right? Not that you shouldn't keep healing yourself. And if you're a seeker, I don't even have to say that because you're going to do it anyway, right? Regardless of who can't hang with you, you're going to do it anyway, right? Yes, someone said that answered a question I didn't realize I had. Thank you. So now you have some options at this point, right? You suddenly, this distance has been created by the shadow work that you realize you need to do and were brave enough to meet the challenge, right? You got some options. So A, you could stay in the relationship and wait to see if they become tired of their own suffering caused by their unhealed trauma that they're not ready to face, right? Which may be a great choice if you can resist the temptation to try to convince them that it is time for them to face this trauma. If you're highly invested in this person, right? It could be okay to wait around for a while and just see if they're going to change. It's kind of crazy to demand that your partner is just, or your friends even, is just going to automatically just immediately come to the same conclusion that you did, or that they're going to be able to heal, the same thing or the same issue, or that it's time for them to heal that issue just because it was time for you to heal that issue. As my best friend pointed out to me the other day, y'all, we had this little game we play. We pretend like we're doing this podcast, and our podcast, we call it Friends Tell Friends the Truth. And when I tell you, my best friend is so good about telling me about myself. Like, shout out to best friends, right? She made a statement to me like, well, how do you know that it's time for this, that this person needs to fix this or do that just because you did that? What if it's not even meant for them to do this or that in their lifetime? in this lifetime, basically, was her. Shout out, best friend. Shout out, bestie. I see you. Thank you. That was some good advice. That was some good advice. It stopped me cold. It stopped me in my tracks. I was like, girl, you ain't never lied. Have y'all ever caught yourself doing that? Start trying to fix somebody just because you came to this realization? It's so tempting. It's so tempting to try to get your loved one to come to the same conclusion just so it can kind of ease the tension between y'all. You can't do that. It really pushes them in the opposite direction, right? And women, I'm going to go on and say women, we're really tend to be guilty of this a lot. Like, I see it all the time. I advise, I work with, I talk to a lot of women day in, day out, day in, day out. And I hear this, and it's like, it sounds to me, sis, like you're trying to do some fixing. And it's not your job to fix that for him. Okay? All right. Okay. But, that could be an option. You can hang in there if you can resist the temptation to try to convince them. Also, you want to be careful that you don't get triggered and get pulled backward into the ways of thinking and reacting that you normally would have before you started working on this trauma, by your interactions with this person. Okay? If you can do this, if you can hang in there without going backwards, you got to have a firm decision within yourself that, like, hey, regardless of the fact that they have not come to this particular conclusion yet, I'm not going to get sucked back into that old way of thinking myself through my interactions with them, okay, with my loved one. Okay? That's very, very important. Super duper important. Okay? And this is a huge challenge. Some of us are just not ready for this challenge. Okay? If you can't stick around without being triggered, if it's something just too hard, you're like, I'm gonna get pulled into some mess, I think I need to move on, then maybe you need to let yourself move on. Okay? But this is real. This is also universal law. I'm gonna quote a Bible verse. Okay? I'm gonna quote a Bible verse right here. And this is Amos 3:3, just because I think it's a very good point. Y'all, don't toss your whole Bible out the window just because you're having a spiritual awakening. There's some good stuff in there. There's some good advice in there, okay? Amos 3:3 says it like this: how can two walk together unless they are going to the same place? If you have a King James version of the Bible, it will say, how can two walk together lest they agree? Isn't that a damn good point? Like, that is a good point. How many of you gonna walk down the street together unless we're going to the same place? Right. Exactly. It just makes sense, right? So what this is telling you is that if two people are in agreement and they're on a path together, or two people keep hanging out, you're in a friendship, you're in this relationship together, either I'm going to become more like you or you're going to become more like me eventually. If we have distance, if we have opposite stances, right? There's some more scriptures I could quote on that, but we're going to let it go because we don't have that much time. Eventually somebody's going to influence the other person to come over to the other side. But if you are not being forceful and manipulative and trying to keep throwing this back in their face and trying to convince them, and you're just like living your truth and enjoying your truth and enjoying your new freedom and letting your light shine, eventually that person will see and feel this new freedom that you're experiencing, and they may say, I want me some of that. Truth and freedom and love, compassion is magnetic. Right? You can magnetize a higher version of your partner. And that's what you want to do if you decide to stay. By living your truth, living your journey out loud, you can pull out a better version of your partner. But you don't want to do that through manipulation, okay? Through forcefulness or convincing, okay? Give me some hearts, give me some 100s if this is making sense, okay? If this resonates. You know, and when I say resonate, you guys, for those who don't know, resonate is when something really feels true to you. You sense that this is true, right? You're like, that sounds right. I felt that. I felt that to my core when you said that. B, another option. Option B, right? Thank y'all for letting me know this is hidden. Okay. Option B, you can leave the relationship and trust that you will attract another partner that is a better match to your new higher vibrations. Okay? This is a viable option. If the situation is abusive or triggering for you, this is the option I would suggest. Okay? Just go on about your business. Trust that the universe is going to send you better. Okay? Don't compromise your safety, your self-worth, or your peace for anybody. Safety, self-worth, and peace. We don't compromise those things. We don't compromise our identity either. Okay? I'm just saying. All right? That could be the option that you need to choose. All right? Option C. All right? Right. Option C. You can keep the relationship. Now, this is a kind of, little bit of both options now. You can keep the relationship and install new boundaries, right? You can keep the person in your life, but change their role. Okay? So, in other words, you could move from romantic relationship to friendship. That may become necessary, right? If this is a family member, it's maybe that you're, no longer a part of my inner circle, but you are someone I call and make sure, that you're doing okay. Maybe this week instead of every day, or this month instead of every week. You install some boundaries. Maybe you don't share so much of your business with the person, whatever makes sense for that situation. But you may decide to do this because this option allows you to stay connected with your loved one, right? And stay connected to the progress that you have made on your own journey. This is important, okay? Honor the version of yourself that said, look, I need to change. I got to do something better than this. I deserve better. Trust the decision that version of you made in that moment. Honor that version of yourself that made a decision for change. Give me some 100s in the chat if that makes sense. Okay? There are times when you have to do that. What if the abusive or manipulative person is a parent? What you gonna do? Right? What if the narcissist is a parent? You may not, if you're not in physical danger, you may not just burn the bridge forever. But when we come to this realization, we got to call less. We got to call less. We got to have less involvement. If every time you hang up the phone with this person, you feel disgusting, you feel this big, but you've been on your healing journey and you realize, this is not me, this is them. Right? You may decide, okay, this person does have some place in my life, but instead of that place being way up, being this close, that person is way out here now. I need to place some boundaries way out here. This is called protecting yourself. Okay? With boundaries. All right? The important thing, if you choose this option, and this is especially important in romantic relationships, but important in any relationship. If you choose this option, you must operate with integrity. Okay? Thank y'all for the hearts in the chat. Let me know this is hidden. Operate with integrity. That means you're not flip-flopping around with your boundaries. You got to hold fast. Okay? If you say, hey, we're no longer romantic interests, we're friends now, you can't, like call them next time you're drunk and, let this be a person that you occasionally sleep with. That's not part of friendship. That's a part of romantic ship. That's the romance part that you said you weren't going to do anymore. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of jerks their emotions around, and it's not fair. It's not fair to the other person, and you're really misusing yourself if you do that. Okay? If you know this person triggers you. If you know that, y'all know what I'm saying. Operating in integrity also means not badgering them. Okay? You keep them around, you're not going to badger them about their choice. You can't be constantly trying to sun this person with your new knowledge, that, oh, I'm way up here, I'm floating on a cloud now because I'm elevated, I'm enlightened, and you choose the yada yada. You can't throw it in their face. You can't do that. You can't use it as a weapon against them if you're going to keep them around, okay? Those behaviors will damage the friendship, the relationship, whatever it may be, okay? Give me some hearts if that makes sense. Give me some hearts if that makes sense, guys, okay? Now, we're going to get into, I always like to give you guys some corresponding chakras so you know where to focus your spiritual work as you, work on these issues, okay? So if y'all love this topic and you're ready for some solutions, say yes in the chat. It's good. I told you. Listen, if you still got your bra on, that's your fault. I told you to get comfortable. This is good. Fellas, if you're not Al Bundying yet, if you're not doing the Al Bundy yet, that's your fault. I told you this was good. Told you it was good. Let's get into these solutions, okay? Now let's start with the individual that is not yet ready to end their suffering, okay? And the reason that we're starting here is because it's not always the other person, seeker. It ain't always the other person that's not ready to end their suffering. There may be some area in your life, like you may be doing some great work over here, but there may be some other area in your life in which you're still holding on to suffering in that area, right? It could be that, hey, I'm making strides in my finances, but I'm still hanging on to this raggedy relationship, right? Because my faith is not as strong in that area. I can believe that I'll be rich, that I can be rich, or that I can, have my financial needs met, but I don't believe that I'll ever really be loved. Still working on that one, right? That could be you. Or it could be the opposite. It could be that I'm saying yes to love. I'm going for it. I'm out here, right? I'm having a good time. I'm living it up, honey. Right? I'm letting the air hit it. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, I'm letting it breathe, right? Y'all so silly. Please don't encourage me in my foolishness. I'm silly, y'all. Y'all know I like to be silly. But you might be out here letting it breathe, baby. But you still have a mental block when it comes to your finances. And you're not ready to let go of that suffering. Let's talk about that. Okay, shall we? If you are not yet ready to let go of suffering, there's a few different things it could be. We're just going to talk about a couple of them, okay? Because we don't have all day. But this could be a sacral chakra blockage, okay? Why am I saying sacral chakra? Okay? The imbalanced archetype or personality type or representation, the template for an imbalanced chakra is called the martyr. Okay? The martyr is self-sacrificing. A martyr is someone who sacrifices themselves for others. Okay? Now, this happens when you somehow believe that your suffering, your sacrifice is necessary for others to have the life they deserve. Now, if you are a parent, you probably immediately know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We are told as parents that we must sacrifice and we must, our happiness is not important. Everything becomes about the children. The moment that, that you become a parent, y'all, why did I even, don't, I need supervision, y'all. There's no reason I should not have cut that off by now. I need supervision, I swear. But right, this is a lie. Like the moment you push out a baby, or as a man, the moment that you plant your seed in somebody, it's just like, oh, you're not a person anymore. You don't matter anymore. Every single thing in your life has to be about this child, and it means that you gotta suffer. You gotta suffer to be a good parent. It's just part of good parenting. In reality, well, can I talk about this for 2 seconds? In reality, you are teaching your child to suffer. And this is why you see people invest, everything in the kid, and the kid still goes astray. The kid just goes out and blows it, and they don't believe that they deserve a good life, even though the parent poured everything they had into this child, but the parent put themselves on the back burner. Children don't learn from what you tell them. They learn from what they see you do. So if you are sacrificing yourself because you don't believe that you deserve a great life as well, you are also teaching your child that they do not deserve a great life. Hello? Yes, that makes sense, right? The martyr also becomes very resentful, okay, in the process. Right, fact, yes, okay? So for some reason, the martyr, you believe that you must stay in this low state of survival in order to keep connection to, or show loyalty to family and friends who are also in a low state of survival. That is another reason why we do this. Another reason why we don't feel good about letting go of struggle, right? Letting go of suffering. Somewhere in our minds, we feel this allegiance to our friends and family who we also see suffering. Okay? So if you grew up in a family that has always been poor, for example, and you begin to do better, it's easy to feel some kind of way like, oh, am I, abandoning my family in some regard, right? And that is also why you see people who have a modicum of success that no one else in their family has. They start to take everybody else's responsibilities on their back and start trying to take care of the family, because you think your allegiance lies in not doing too well, or not doing well without them, right? Y'all, listen, I could talk about that. I could go on and on about that, but I won't. Fear of moving into a new way of life or new state of well-being, right? The path can look, that path of a new state of health, of wealth, of well-being. If you have not seen anyone else in your life go down that path can look dark and lonely to you. So to your subconscious mind, it's like, I'm not going down that road. I don't know what's down there. Once I get down there, ain't nobody I know gonna be down there. I'm not gonna have any guidance. I'm not going down there, right? These are just some of the reasons that we're sometimes not ready to let go of suffering, okay? Thank you for the 100s and the hearts in the chat. I see somebody saying big fats. Thank you, Zena Electra. This is why we sometimes don't let go of suffering, right? We want to suffer a little longer, okay? Another reason Now, this one is related to heart chakra, okay? We just did sacral chakra. We're going to do heart chakra now. Unforgiveness and resentment of wrongdoing, okay? Unforgiveness and resentment of wrongdoing or resentment of the wrongdoer. Let's use the example of someone who grew up, if you grew up witnessing abuse, okay? If you grew up witnessing abuse or if you were the victim of abuse, okay? You may not be ready to end your suffering. I hear people saying that's me. Listen closely. You may not be ready to end your suffering or to peel back the next layer of your suffering. Because remember, we talked about it. We're going to hit this at different levels, on different layers, at different times in our lives. As a seeker, it's a journey. It's a progressive journey, right? You may not be ready to peel back the next layer of your suffering for fear that forgiving or moving on from the past hurt means that you condone the wrongs that you witnessed, or that it condones the wrongs that you suffered, right? I see you, Blue Lotus. Now, you may think that if I forgive them, I'm condoning their behavior. You may subconsciously be thinking, I'm going to welcome more of the same of that if I forgive them in my heart, if I move on, right? You also may fear that forgiving or moving on, ending your suffering or peeling back a new layer of your suffering somehow means that you are as weak or naive as someone that you feel allowed themselves to become a victim. And you may, on some level, think that you allowed yourself to become a victim, right? And that if you forgive this means that you are weak and that you are naive. You may somewhere in your heart still be blaming that past version of yourself that experienced that. Or what if you witnessed your parent getting abused, and you feel that somewhere in your heart you feel like they was allowing that. So if I forgive and I allow myself to let go of this resentment, that means I'm weak and I'm naive too. Yes, I see the comments in the chat. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Okay. You also may be thinking that if I forgive this, if I move on, I am just as brutal as the abuser. You may somewhere in your mind see this as identifying with the abuser. Because again, you may think that you're just as brutal or that you're condoning what happened, right? So you may see yourself as identifying, that means that I too am just as brutal as that perpetrator if I let go, right? That can be a reason that we're not ready to let go of suffering. There are many, many reasons, but those are just a few, okay? Those were sacral chakra and heart chakra, okay? So if you're feeling that, if those resonated, let's do some sacral chakra and heart chakra work, okay? That may be a good place to start, all right? Now, let's talk about the lonely seeker, okay? What are some energetic blockages? This is what we're doing here. We are uncovering energetic blockages that we may need to work on so we can move past these issues and restore the flow, right? Restore flow in our lives, increase flow in our lives, and increase our ability to attract love energy, which is going to attract more love in our lives, attract our desires, attract the love and the life that we desire, right? We pull back the curtain on some of these traumas so we know where to go with working on them. It's a process. Be kind and be gracious to yourself in the process. Okay? Now, what if you are the lonely seeker? What might be the chakras that you need to have a look at? Okay, y'all give me some hearts in the chat if we're okay right now. We're getting into some deep waters, my God. And we've now been on here an hour. I only plan to be on here for an hour, but we have not got to the lonely seeker yet. Right? So we're going to keep going if that's all right with y'all. Okay. Now, yes, I see. Yes, we are going to get to some root chakra stuff. Okay. Y'all are already with me. Y'all already jumping ahead. Yes, absolutely. And I see one of my students on here. That's right. Root chakra. You know it. That's right. That's right. Okay. Absolutely. I love keeping in contact with my students and seeing my students' progress. I love staying connected with y'all. It's one of the most beautiful parts of my life, aside from my own journey. It is integral with my own journey. Now, the first one I'm going to get into, though, is crown chakra. Crown chakra, okay? And there's a reason I'm starting here. Normally, you're seeing me start with the lower chakras and go up, but that's not what I'm doing tonight, okay? We're starting with the crown chakra because this is a place where you can start. I'm giving you a starting place on how to get the answers, to reveal to you what the other chakras may be that are blocked, okay? In your quiet time, in your prayer time, in your meditation time, in your time when you do your stuff, when you do your spiriting, okay? In your private time, in your sacred time where you do your spiriting, I want you to ask your highest self this question. And in the way you do that, ask yourself the question and listen within yourself for the first answer that comes up. The first thing that comes to your mind, do not turn away, okay? Do not block out the answer that you get. Just whatever the first thing that comes up, you ask this question and go with that first answer, okay? Ask your highest self, how does your spirit stay with me even though my vibration is so much lower than yours? I'm going to repeat that question. Ask your highest self, how do you hang in here with me? How does your spirit stay with me? Ever present in my life, guiding me, even though my vibration is currently so much lower than yours. Right? We're asking that question because the lonely seeker is a runner. The lonely seeker is a runner. Okay? The lonely seeker don't know how to hang in there with people, is not sure when to hang in with people or when to run. That's why this is very lonely. It can be a lonely path. And there comes a time we have to grow out of that loneliness. There's a time to separate and there's a time to ingratiate. Okay? Yes. I see y'all identifying with this in the chat. So what characteristic of my highest self am I missing that would allow me to stay in connection with my loved ones without losing connection to myself? What characteristic of my highest self am I missing that would allow me to stay in connection with my loved ones that's not doing the same work at the same rate and yada, 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 without losing connection, while still being true to myself, while still honoring the progress that I'm making on this journey? What's the characteristic I'm missing? Could you be lacking compassion for others? Right? Could you be lacking compassion? Could that be the missing characteristic. Perhaps your heart chakra is blocked and you do not know how to extend love and compassion towards people who don't think, live, or believe like you do. Does this make sense? Give me some hearts if that makes sense. If you're having a light bulb moment here, could you be lacking compassion? If so, your heart chakra is blocked. Okay? And for some of you, you're going to have the light bulb. I'm like, oh my God, that is it. It seems like I just, I don't have no love for you if you don't see this the way I see it. And for others, you may be thinking, what does she mean, compassion? That's also a blockage. That is also a heart chakra blockage. If you don't know what compassion is, you do not have compassion, sir or ma'am. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to pull out, don't Google it, pull out a whole Webster's dictionary. Okay? And this is important. I'm laughing, but it's not, I'm laughing, but it's serious. And this is so important because if you don't have the proper compassion for others, this is an indicator that you don't have proper compassion for yourself. Once you begin to have compassion for yourself, you can give yourself grace. It becomes so much easier. So much easier. When you stop beating yourself up, you can stop beating others up. Okay? Yes, I see all the hearts in the chat. I'm glad this is hitting for you guys. Next, perhaps that missing characteristic, that missing component of your highest self, perhaps it is that your identity is easily threatened by those who don't think like you because you are not truly grounded in who you are, right? So your go-to move is to quickly throw them away. Some of y'all's cutoff game is so strong. It's too strong. It's too strong. And that is why you are having feelings of loneliness. Okay? Feelings of loneliness. This is a root chakra blockage that we're talking about here. You're not truly grounded in who you are, so your identity feels threatened by people who do not think, live, and believe like you do. Okay? Not quite sure, not strong in who you are, still figuring some things out to the point that even being confronted with someone else's ways, someone else's ideas, someone else's beliefs. Right. Blue Lotus, I hear you. Yes. Yes. See, some of us, this is the thing. When you're in flow, you're in flow. And it's so interesting how when you connect with members of your tribe, they'll be thinking about the same thing you're thinking about, or speaking on the same thing you've been thinking about, speaking on the same thing you put in your journal this morning. When members of my tribe call me and they're struggling with something, it's always like, dang, I was just thinking about this. I was just praying about this. I was just, we're in flow. We're in flow with each other, right? So it's one of the ways you can identify your tribe, right? But yes, that is a root chakra injury. It's indicative of a root chakra blockage when it's that, hey, my identity feels threatened. I'm afraid that everything I think I know about myself is wrong. If that person is right, then that makes me wrong, right? No, that's not how it works, okay? Thank goodness that's not how it works, okay? Now, the next question, are you impatient with others? Are you impatient with others? Is this what is keeping you lonely, right? And I keep going back to that. Being a lonely seeker is an issue, and here's why. You can be a seeker and not be lonely, even though you are alone, okay? Many of us are alone in a lot of pockets in our life, but we don't feel lonely because we have, the amount of connection we have is the amount of connection we need, as well as we know how to show up for ourselves in the ways that maybe we used to wish other people would show up for us, right? We've learned how to fill in those gaps for ourselves, and that is a huge part of enlightenment, the union with yourself, right? But if you be honest with yourself and you say, yeah, I do feel loneliness, that is an indicator that you do need more connection because you need more support in your life. Do not ignore that feeling. We've got to get out of this thought process of ignoring our feelings. I don't, ignore your feelings. Some of y'all dismiss your feelings as soon as they come up because it's been so beat into you that your feelings don't matter. Nobody cares about your feelings. The world doesn't care about your feelings. You should care about your feelings because your feelings are pointers. As Eckhart Tolle says, your feelings are pointers. They are pointing you towards something that is important for the unfolding of your own soul. Okay? So if you feel lonely, pay attention to that. What is it showing you? Are you impatient with other people? Do you expect that as soon as you come to this realization, everybody else, the light should come on for them too, and you just don't understand why they don't get it? That's a solar plexus blockage. Okay? Another thing that accompanies this, anxiety. Anxiety. You feel anxious a lot. Okay, that is an indicator. It's indicative of solar plexus blockage. Okay, when when you come to this realization and your partner or your friend or whoever doesn't, you become anxious about it. It's just like, oh no, what's going to happen now? Solar plexus. Solar plexus. Okay, that's a solar plexus chakra blockage. Okay, so I'm going to give us a warning right here because we're talking about solar plexus and being impatient. Being impatient. Somebody says, yes, I have social anxiety. I used to have such horrible social anxiety. I really relate to that. I really relate to that. Hang on, it gets better. Keep doing your journey until you feel able to do your journey out loud, to be yourself out loud. Okay? You can do it. You can do it. I had a horrible anxiety, social anxiety for years. To the point it was like, you get to a point where like you're too old to be shy, but people just think you're rude. That was me. Like, I'm not rude. I promise I'm not being rude and bougie or stuck up. I'm quiet over here because I'm anxious, y'all. I'm very nervous. I couldn't take no sudden movements. No sudden movements around me. It makes me nervous. Yeah, so I totally understand. Yeah, I get that. So I'm going to give you a warning here. I'm going to give us a warning for all of those who are on the path, all of us enlightened ones. Be cautious not to get pulled into your ego. Okay? Be cautious not to get pulled further into ego as you begin to come deeper into connection with yourself. It is very tempting to start looking down at others as you perceive yourself to be ascending. If you start seeing yourself as way up here, it's real easy to start like looking down your nose at others. Like, I'm up here and you're down there. And I don't know why you don't get it. You don't understand. You are not enlightened. You're not one of the enlightened ones. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Let me tell you something. Arrogance, judginess, you know, those are not high vibrations. Okay? They're not high vibrations. They're not. And it's so easy. Our ego really easily wants to otherize people. Your ego is always making a difference than, between you and the other person, other people. Always finding reasons why you are better than them. Right? Please be careful not to do that. Okay? Does that make sense, y'all? What you want to do, if you're struggling with arrogance, impatience, judging, and you may not think that's what you're doing, but it kind of, that's how it comes off to the other person because they feel that, right? You may look different or you may say it different, but that person feels what's really happening. Everybody knows what arrogance, impatience, and judginess feels like. We've all had that done to us, right? If you're finding yourself tempted to go there, lean into love, right? Become intentional about expanding into your heart space to find compassion for others, right? As they find their way also. You had to find your way. Be compassionate, be patient. Expand into your heart space to find compassion for others as they find their way to their path of enlightenment. And know that their path ain't gonna look like your path. Like my best friend told me, you don't know if that's their path. You don't know if it's for them to discover that. It may not be for them to realize that in this lifetime. Hello. Okay, so does this journey have to be lonely? This is the last part, you guys. Does this journey have to be lonely? I know you're probably thinking that in your head somewhere. Like, does it have to be this way? By now, that question has to have come up for you, right? If it has, give me some 100s. If y'all have enjoyed this, if this is good, give me some 100s. If you have been thinking in your head, man, does this have to be this way? Give me some 100s. So, does the journey have to be so lonely? Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay. Yes and no. I'm going to clarify. Okay. There will be times that are lonely on your spiritual journey, on your path to enlightenment, and especially in the beginning stages. And sometimes, you can be in beginning stages for years and you don't even know that you're in beginning stages because you know how far you came from. That's one reason too. I always say, don't, judge how far somebody is. You can't say, well, somebody, this person just started their journey. You don't know that because you don't know where they used to be. Only they know the depth of where they used to be, right? So they may be really far on their spiritual journey. Just because they haven't hit the same revelations that you have yet, it don't mean they just started. Or just because they start looking on the outside in a way that you can recognize it in them, that don't mean they just started. Right? But anyway, especially in the beginning, when you first begin to awaken to some core truths and people close to you just don't get it, right? Yeah, it's going to be lonely because there will be people, possibly many people, that you find it necessary to totally separate from. You may have to, just depending on what your life is doing and how things looking in your life. You may have to completely separate, okay? That is going to happen. There will be people that would either distract you or discourage you from growing. So you have to separate, okay? Those phases can be lonely, okay? You may also have different times in your life when you are cleaning out your friend and associate closet again as you hit major growth spurts in your journey, okay? Does that make sense? Many times you're just hitting a new level. You've been on this path for a while. You've been intentional about your spiritual journey for a while, and you've been cool. You've been cruising, right? But now you're going through another major growth spurt, and you got to clear some more folks out. You got to let go of some associations and friendships, relationships. Okay. Now, many times, and matter of fact, a lot of times you'll hit a level in your journey where you don't really have to clean out the closet anymore because you've done so much intentional cleaning. But that as you hit new levels, people just start to fall away naturally. You don't even have to intentionally do anything. They just kind of naturally fall away. You recognize the pattern at that point. You're like, I see, I ain't heard from so-and-so in a while. And they just kind of like disappear. They just like darn near vanish. It's almost like magic. They just disappear from your life because your frequency, your dominant frequency has changed so much that there's just nothing pulling them to you anymore. Okay? That's when you know you're really gutting it out, right? 100, right? Yes. So now for me, this time was about the time I began to naturally attract my tribe. My tribe. So about the same time that folks, I realized I was at a point in my life where there was not people I had to intentionally just get rid of, but that people either naturally fell away on their own or just never came, certain types of people just never were attracted to me to begin with because my vibration just wasn't attracting them anymore. Around that same time was when I started to attract my tribe. Okay? Which was a huge relief. Okay? And that is when I stopped feeling lonely. Okay? When I began to connect with other people like me. And it seemed like, I didn't have to do much aside from going outside or getting on the internet, getting online, and boom, my people were just drawn to me. I was just naturally drawn to them. So the good news is you do hit that groove, right? And at that point, it's not as lonely anymore. Okay? Because one spiritual friend, one member of your tribe can feel like 10 random friends or 10 friends that you were trauma bonding with, right? The benefit to your life can be 10 times that of a person that you know, just was bonding with over some other stuff. Does that make sense? Does that resonate? Have y'all experienced that? You have this deep friendship, this deep spiritual connection with a friend or a partner, and it's like, whoo! That's how it is for me and my best friend that I was talking about. Who's in the chat? I'm not gonna say who it is, but listen, I don't want y'all stalking my friend, okay? I don't want nobody, no crazy person looking at my friend. But my best friend, let me tell you, is like 10, 20, 50 randos, you know? Yes. Okay. So please, yes, thank you, Boohoo, for letting me know that. Absolutely. And you can tune in. We're wrapping up, but if you want to see the end another time, good night to you. It's 3 a.m. where you are. Thank you so much for hanging in here with us. Yes. Yes. See you next Tuesday, hopefully. Now, this is the same time that I began to draw my tribe, which greatly decreased the measure of loneliness that I experienced in my life. I just, it just didn't happen after that. I may occasionally get a little wave of loneliness, and if that happens, I pay attention to it. And I'm like, oh, what is this telling me that I need in my life? Like, I recently became aware that I wanted to have more children. I need to have more children in my life. And then boom, Spirit brought a very special child back into my life that I'm so glad it's like back around me now. It's like, yes, I need this, right? So anyway, guys, there is one other section of information that I have prepared to share with you guys, but I'm not going to share it here. Okay. I'm going to share it somewhere else on another platform that I'm about to tell you about. But before we do that, thank you. Give me the hearts, give me the 100s. If this was good, was this good? Did this help? Oh my God. Y'all hung in here so well and gave me so much good feedback tonight. This was amazing. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the support. Okay. I'm so glad this helped y'all. Okay. The other segment of information, that's just 3 pieces of very good advice. I'm going to answer the question, how can I choose friends and partners I won't outgrow so quickly? Isn't that a good question? That is a good question. Okay. How do I choose? Thank you guys. Thank you so much. How do I choose friends and partners I won't outgrow so quickly? I am going to give 3 answers for that on another platform, a new platform that I just joined that I want y'all to come over and join with me. Come and check me out on, guess what it is? OnlyFans. I have an OnlyFans page now, you guys. Okay. And this is what my first post is going to be about. My first post is going up tonight. It just went up while we were here. Okay. Thank God for the modern miracle of pre-scheduling posts. I'm answering the question, how can I choose friends and partners I won't outgrow so quickly? I have 3 answers up there. Okay. And it's going to be in the description box of this video. But normally, guys, I notice that after I go live, depending on my subject matter, it can take hours and hours for YouTube to let me go, public with that post, to let it be live. Okay. So I'm going to tell you my name on OnlyFans so you can hop on there. My free page is a free page that I'm putting up. It is up right now. Free page. And my name is Empress Pangea. Empress. Pangea. Pangea. Right? So don't get lost on the way. I'm giving you my name on there, my username, so you don't get lost and end up in the booby room. Don't end up in the booby room on OnlyFans, because y'all know it's some boobs. Listen, thinking they're popping on OnlyFans, right? Y'all know what they're famous for, but there are lots of other types of content creators on OnlyFans. And I'm super excited to be there because it's another place to connect with y'all, okay? And it's going to allow me to do some really neat stuff, to release some different types of information that some other platforms may censor me out on, if y'all know what I mean, right? Some certain types of information that is important for us to know about ourselves, about our energies, about our bodies, right? That we need to be aware of. Some very powerful energies in our bodies that we need to be talking about. And some platforms won't let you talk about it freely. So I need to be able to say what I got to say. I need to be able to say what I came to say. So Empress Pangea on OnlyFans. The link will be up in the description box whenever this live is allowed to go public, however long that takes. But y'all can go right now. The post is there right now. I've got 3 answers to that question that are very good answers. Okay, so if this hit for you, if this was popping, if this resonated, go to my OnlyFans page, okay, and get the answer to this question. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging in here. This was the longest video I've done so far, but the interaction was just so good, and I wanted to make sure I was addressing questions. Does anybody have another quick question for me before I get out of here? Does someone have something they want me to address really, really quickly before I go? Going once, going twice. You can just say yes if you need a second to get your question together. Thank y'all so much for the interaction. I will see you guys on next Tuesday. Thank y'all for being here. I don't see any questions coming through, so I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. I love y'all. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I will see you next Tuesday. It's 6:30 p.m. Central. And drop me a note. Drop me a comment on OnlyFans and let me know. Y'all gonna see me. Y'all remember how the Brady Bunch used to come on? There was a bunch of squares. And you see each family member with their own square. Y'all gonna see me. It's gonna be me and some boobs right next to it. Wouldn't that be cool? Y'all, I feel good about it. I'm glad to know I'm gonna be on there with all that good energy. That popping energy. That's how I see it in my mind. With me next to a nice rack. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Peace, peace, and love. Good night, everybody. Bye.